Hey guys, it's Grace. Welcome to my channel. I post beauty and lifestyle videos every single Friday, and of course, today I am not doing beauty or lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you all the tea on what it's actually like to work for Instacart as a shopper. So I started working for Instacart as a shopper about 3.5 to 4 weeks ago and have made it through 3 full pay periods. So I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of how this works and can answer a lot of questions that I had before I became a shopper. I have all the questions on my phone, so I'm gonna slowly work through them. I will also in the description box put the questions and at what time I start talking about that. Okay, so the first thing is, do I need to do anything special to sign up, or does it cost anything to sign up? And no. So you don't need to do anything special to sign up. You don't have to have any experience doing any kind of delivery work or working in a grocery store or anything of the sort. And it is also completely free to sign up. You do need to be, I think, at least 18 years old, and if you're going to do the full service delivery program rather than just the in-store shopper, you do need to have a license because you obviously need to have a car and you need to be able to drive. Also, there was no interview for this process at all, which I thought was really interesting. There was like no real like set of questions, or like it was a very different job application, but I guess it's pretty simple. So okay, the next thing is, how long did it take to get approved to be a shopper? And this I think varies by person. I saw a subreddit that was basically saying some people it took like 2 to 3 weeks, which is insane. I got approved and was ready to shop in the exact same day. So I don't know if that's just because we're in the middle of a pandemic and Instacart is becoming a lot more popular. So I'm not really sure, but for me, I applied, I would say it was like Tuesday morning, and I was like good to go by Tuesday afternoon. So for me, it took only a few hours, literally only a few hours, to do like an entire background check and like set up my banking. It was like a little freaky how quick it was. But for me, I was ready to go and shop the next day. But for some people, it might take a little bit longer. When you first sign up, you get assigned a debit card essentially, and whenever someone places an order and you accept it, it transitions whatever that amount of money is onto your card. So because I have an iPhone, I can use Apple Pay, so I was able to start shopping literally the next day. But if you don't have that, you'll have to wait for your physical card to come in the mail. My actual like physical debit card from Instacart took about a week to a week and a half to come in the mail. Having that card does also give you access to more stores. So for me, the Aldi in my area does not take Apple Pay, so I'm not able to shop at Aldi unless I have that physical card registered. So once I did register it, I did get more access to more stores, but because I had Apple Pay, I was able to start right away. So that could potentially extend the whole process of starting and getting going depending on what kind of device you have. Okay, the next thing is kind of about what the entire process looks like, what it actually looks like to be a shopper, and kind of how that all works. So please bear with me because this is probably going to be a little bit confusing because there's a lot of different things. Please bear with me. So how does it work? If you are a full service shopper, you will go to the grocery store, you will shop for someone's groceries, you will check out, use your card to pay for it, like the Instacart card, and then you will deliver those groceries to this person's home or wherever they're getting them delivered. If you are doing just in-store shopping, you will just shop and put together orders in the store, and then someone else working for Instacart will come pick those groceries up and just do the delivery. I believe you make more money by doing the full service delivery, but obviously if you don't have a car or if you have a vehicle that you cannot put all of those miles on, then doing the in-store thing would be better. But this experience is going to be all about being a full service shopper, so buying groceries and delivering. A typical day for me, I usually accept my first order around 8 a.m. and I'll usually work until about 4 or 5. It just depends how much money I've made that day and how I'm feeling. If I don't feel great and I just want to come home early, I will. Or if the day is like really crazy and there's a lot of orders, then I will stay out later. The other day I worked like 10 hours straight just because I was making a lot of money and I wanted to stay out. But you can definitely choose your hours and shape how your schedule looks, or when you leave and when you come home. That said, there is a certain point in time where in your area orders will stop coming in. For me, that's usually around 7 o'clock that there's no more orders. So I will usually wrap up the very latest at 7, but I have a friend whose parents do this in another state and they will work until like 9 or 10 at night. So it just depends on your area and when people order groceries. Okay, so I'm going to insert a screen recording in here to kind of walk you through the app a little bit and show you what it looks like. So when you go onto your dashboard, you will see the batches that are available. A batch is just essentially an order, but the reason that they're called batches is because orders will sometimes be grouped together if it makes it more efficient or if it makes more sense. So for example, if there are 2 orders at Target and they're both fairly small or their houses are in similar areas or something of that nature, they will group them together into one batch, and within that one batch there will be 2 full service orders. So that means that you are shopping for 2 people at the same time. You are checking out separately, so you'll do person A's order first and check out, then do person B's order and check out, and then you will put them all into your cart once, and then you will go deliver to 2 separate places. I've only seen it go up to 3 full service orders in one. I've never seen more than 3, but that's why it's called a batch, because it isn't always necessarily just like one order. It isn't always just like one order that you're doing. Sometimes it can be 2 full service orders in one. So your dashboard will show you how many batches are available, and it will also show you like your messages and like some other details. If you go to the side tab, there's a feature where it will show you a demo order. So this will walk you through what an order will look like in the store. It's very realistic. Like, it is exactly what it looks like. So this one shows Kate P at Stop and Shop, and this is pretty much how it will look when you go in. So then it will come up with this little reminder about CDC guidelines and social distancing, being kind to people in the store, and then you will be able to see all of the person's items on one screen, and it will kind of sort it by type. Then you'll be able to click on each item when you've found it, and then you'll be able to scan the item in. So if you find that item, you'll scan it, you'll scan the barcode. It will tell you whether or not it is the right item. So say for example, someone orders a 5-pound bag of rice and you accidentally scan in a 3-pound bag. It will tell you found 3-pound bag of rice, your customer requested a 5-pound bag. And so it will help you find out what is incorrect about it. Also, say for example, say someone orders Driscoll's strawberries, but you put in, I don't know, Sunset Organic strawberries. It will say, item you found, Sunset Organic strawberries, and Sunset Organic will be in like blue, and then strawberries will just be black text. And then it will say your customer ordered Driscoll's, and Driscoll's will be in red and strawberries will be in black. So it tells you what exact like words are indicating the difference between the products that you found and that your customer ordered, which is actually really helpful because it allows you to figure out exactly what is like incorrect about it. So I don't know, it's definitely helpful. Sometimes the ounces on things are a little bit different. Sometimes like it will say in the app that like a family size box of Cocoa Puffs is like 19.3 ounces, but in the store it's like 19.6. And sometimes it will say that it's the incorrect item. But it helps you when they actually are the incorrect item, if that makes sense. Okay, so then if you are unable to find this item, they don't have it in stock, you can click on this little piece that says can't find item, which will then bring up the customer's second choice if they have one. So then from there, you can just go in and scan whatever their second choice item is. If they don't have one, it will ask you to scan a replacement, or if you can't find their second choice. And then from there, you can scan in something else that you deem to be comparable or that you think would work. So for example, the other day I had a woman who ordered Lay's regular potato chips. They did not have any Lay's. She did not have a second choice. So I put in regular Utz potato chips that are essentially the same thing, and she was fine with that. So if they don't have a second choice, it's just up to you to find a replacement. Customers always prefer usually a replacement over a refund, especially for items that they deem are priority. So you can't see it in the demo, but customers will have the option to mark an item as a priority item. So this has its pros and cons. So the purpose kind of and the idea behind a priority item is that this is like the item they care about getting most. And apparently you can get better reviews and ratings from customers if you scan in their priority items first. If I'm being honest with you, I never do that because a lot of times some of their priority items will be things like ice cream, and I'm not going to put ice cream in the cart first if they have 70 other items to grab, because then your ice cream is sitting out for over an hour and a half while I shop and deliver your groceries, and I just don't feel like that's a good idea. I've never had anyone rate me poorly for not getting their priority items first. So once you've scanned in a replacement, it will go into the in review category, and that will basically just say you replaced Jif peanut butter with Skippy peanut butter, and your customers can go in and approve that substitution. So some customers will approve it and will really follow along with you as you're shopping. Other customers will literally just not care and will just leave it there. That's their own prerogative. If they don't approve all of the changes by the time you check out, so be it. If you scan in an item and it is correct and you're moving on, it will move into the done category, and then that will show you how many items you have left in the to-do category. That number will update as you go. Once you have found all the items and they are either in the in review category or in the done category, and you have no more items in your to-do category, then that's when you'll be able to hit a button that says review changes, which basically will just tell you whether or not the customer wants to be called about the changes. Most customers just say they don't want to be called about any changes, and they're just will take whatever you have gotten. I did have one customer out of the 50 something I've shopped for that had it set to call her, so I did give her a call and just said, hey, these are the 3 items that you haven't approved the changes on. Are you okay with moving forward with them? And she said yes. You are still spending their money, even though you are using Instacart's card. This is still money they've spent, and so for me personally, I like to make sure that they're okay with them. If they're not responding to messages and things, I will move forward to the checkout with items that are still in the in review category. But if they do want to be called, you do need to call them. And then after that, you can hit go to checkout. And then if they have a store card, for example, if you're at a Price Chopper and they have a Price Chopper store card, their barcode to their card will come up. You can show that to the cashier. They will scan it. And then you'll be able to use Apple Pay or the physical MasterCard that they give you to pay for their groceries. So that's kind of the whole entire process from accepting through shopping. And then from there, once you finish the checkout, a little page will come up that will have the customer's information, like their address and any delivery instructions that they have. And then you can use that information, navigate to their home, and drop them off. Everyone has different delivery instructions. Most people right now in the middle of the pandemic are choosing contactless delivery. So this means that you will not talk to anybody, you will not contact anybody, you will just take their groceries out and put them wherever they asked, or usually at their front door if they don't give any specific instructions. I don't know if this is something that's super common normally. I have a feeling that if we ordered groceries through Instacart at my home, which we have before, but if we were to do it and it wasn't a pandemic, I have a feeling that we would all be helping the shopper get the stuff out of the car and everything. We wouldn't just make them bring all of our groceries up just to be nice, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if it's super common otherwise, but mostly you just take them out and leave them. And then you'll swipe to complete the delivery and you'll say where you left them, usually send a picture of where you left them, and then you're done. And then you're finishing that whole batch and you're able to accept another one and move on to making more money on the next batch. Every order will vary based on the amount of time it takes to complete, just based on the number of items that this person has, how well you're able to find things. Sometimes things will not be where you think that they are, so it just kind of varies based on that and based on the store. You might know your local, I don't know, Target really well, but you might not know your local Price Chopper as well, and so it could take you longer in Price Chopper. Depending on what store you shop in, sometimes it will tell you the exact location. So for example, I was shopping in a Wegmans and it would say that tofu was in aisle 1B and I don't know, toilet paper was in aisle 18B. So things like that. It also does that at Price Chopper and Market 32. But for example, if you shop at Shaw's, I don't know if that's a big, huge chain or just a local one, but if you shop at Shaw's, it does not tell you where they are exactly. It will say dry goods, pantry, baking needs, things like that, but it won't tell you exactly where it is. So it might say that peanut butter is pantry, but peanut butter is actually in the aisle with bread and not in the aisle that's labeled pantry, because it just classifies peanut butter as a pantry item, if that makes any sense. That was a lot of words to describe that, but some stores will tell you the exact location. I recommend starting at one like that if you can. So anything Price Chopper, Market 32, Wegmans. I don't know some of the other stores that tell you the exact location, because those are the only ones we have in my area, but yeah, definitely do that. Okay, the next thing is, does Instacart supply you with anything? And the answer to that is no. So Instacart tells you that it is like mandatory to have insulated bags to transport people's groceries. And while I understand the purpose of this, I don't have any and I don't use them, and I've never had an issue. I still get the same orders everybody else does. I've never had an issue. Some people have said that they think it's a bit ridiculous that Instacart does not supply their shoppers with bags for free, and I politely disagree, because when I first started working, my very first job ever was at McDonald's, and when I started working there, I had to buy my own dress pants, and I had to have several pairs because I was working several days a week, so it wasn't possible to wash my pants on Monday after I got home from work at 10 p.m. to go back to work the following day. So I did have to get my own dress pants. I had to buy my own pair of non-slip shoes that were that met the requirements of McDonald's, and so that was definitely an investment. I probably spent about $50 on stuff just to start working there. So I don't think it's that bad of an expectation to expect people to buy them. That said, I haven't seen any in any grocery stores right now because you can't use them to check out. You can't use reusable bags, so I don't know where exactly you would get one, to be honest, right now. You can buy them through Instacart. It's like $27 for the pack, and Instacart will just take that money out of whatever money you made that week and send them to you. So I might actually do that, but they don't supply you with them for free. In terms of pandemic support and like that kind of thing, they started offering free health and safety kits, which include a small hand sanitizer and a cotton face mask. If you don't have access to that, you can get it through the app for free, but otherwise you'd have to buy it on your own pretty much. So, I mean, up to you. I have access to a mask and hand sanitizer myself, very blessed to have that and to be able to purchase those things, but I know not everyone does, but it is an option through the app, but it does take some time to get to you if you don't have it. Okay, the next part I'm going to talk about is all about payment and money. The part that we all really want to know about. We all want to know if it's worth it, if it is worth it. Do you really make that dough? We want to know. Oh my god, I just rhymed. Haha, look at me go. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to know about is, how do you get paid and how is that money calculated? So the amount that you make off of a batch comes down to two different things. One is the batch payment, and second is the customer tip. So the batch payment is made up of a couple different things. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but you'll get the gist. So basically, the batch payment is the money that Instacart itself pays you. It has nothing to do with the customer. So the batch payment is calculated based off the need for shoppers, and a portion of it is calculated based off of how far the customer's home is from the grocery store. So in my area, it is 60 cents per mile that the grocery store is away from the customer's home. So the more miles away the customer is, the more money you're going to make in that payment. Also, if there is a really big need for shoppers, so for example, if an order has sat there for quite some time because no one is accepting it for whatever reason, Instacart will add what is called a peak boost onto it. So there's like a little flame that will come up next to an order, and it will essentially just add $2 to that payment. So, I mean, it really doesn't do that much, but that's something that can add to that batch payment. The second part of this is the customer tip. Now, let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about customer tips, okay? So, some customers choose to tip cash, some choose to tip a flat rate, and some choose to tip by percentage, and I will explain all of these. So some orders, when you go to accept them, it will say whatever the batch payment is plus no tip. And sometimes people literally just don't tip you anything, which is rude. Don't do that. But some customers will tip you in cash. So one time I accepted an order at a grocery store and there was no tip. It was still a decent batch payment, so I said, hey, why not? And as soon as I accepted that order, I got a message from the customer saying, just want to let you know ahead of time, I'm going to have a cash tip for you. I'll hand it to you in an envelope, so please don't worry about not getting tipped. And I was like, girl, that was so kind. Like, she let me know. But I have also taken orders where people don't tip me cash. But I would say most of the time when there is no tip, someone is going to tip you in cash, but they just don't list it on the app. Second, some customers will tip a flat rate, meaning that they will say instead of tipping a percentage, they're just going to tip $10 regardless, which can be both good and bad. It can be good because if anything to their order changes or things are not in stock and therefore the amount that their order is ends up being less, your tip will not get changed, which is now what comes into a percentage tip and how that can be both good and bad. So when a customer tips a percentage, it is a percentage of whatever their order costs. So if their order was $300 total and they tip 20%, then you're gonna make 60 bucks. But here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. We're in the middle of the pandemic, okay? Stores are limiting purchases of certain goods. So I once upon a time had this order I accepted, and I don't know what percentage of the order this woman had tipped, but they were limiting meat. And she probably had ordered about $50 to $75 worth of meat. And so when they said, oh no, you can only have one package of each kind of meat, she ended up losing about $50 to $40 worth of meat, which meant that I lost a decent chunk off of my tip because her overall order ended up being a lot cheaper than what she had originally bargained for. So while this can also be great because sometimes if a customer orders a package of chicken wings, for example, and they order 3 pounds, but they only have packages of 4 pounds, sometimes customers will say, yeah, that's fine, throw the 4 pounds in, you know, the more the merrier, and then you'll get a little bit more of a tip. Honestly, when it goes up, it just changes by cents, but when large chunks of money come off like that, you can lose a decent dollar. So in every situation, you can kind of get screwed a little bit, so it's fine. I would say that most customers tip very fairly, in my opinion. I don't really have an issue with that. So with customer tipping, customers have 3 days to change their tip amount. And this is also something that can go both good and bad. So for example, I had a customer who was very dissatisfied with my service after I traipsed around the store and replaced a bunch of her second choice items with new items because she no longer wanted her second choice. And she ended up removing my tip after I delivered her order, which there's no need. No need. She reported me for bad service. I was like, lady, let me know. She removed my tip. So then the original amount that I had decided to shop for, I was no longer going to get. That said, I've also had customers who've been like, this was such a great experience, and add more money to it, which is fantastic, and I'm so grateful. This one man tipped me on the app, and then he said I was the best shopper he had ever had in the 10 orders he had placed, and so he ended up giving me another $10 in cash in person. So I ended up making like $35 in tips. Like, he was so kind. God bless that man's heart. But it can go both ways. So because customers have 3 days to change their tip amount, you cannot cash out with a customer's tip at any given moment. You can, though, you can cash out with batch payments at any point you want. So for example, if you start working on Wednesday and say you make $150 on your first day and $75 of that is customer tips, you can take that other $75 and cash out right away and get that money deposited into your bank account, which is really nice because you can get that money at any point. The customer tip will stay in your account and will be deposited weekly in your weekly like normal direct deposit payment, but you can cash out with that batch payment at any point, which is a really great option to have. The next thing is how often you get paid, and I think I just may have like slipped and mentioned it, but you do get paid weekly, which is like fantastic, okay? I have never ever had a job where I got paid weekly. I always get paid bi-weekly, which is okay, but getting paid weekly is so nice. Like, so nice. It is just fantastic. I don't know if you can get paid like through a physical check. I feel like you probably could, but you can just set up a direct deposit and it's super easy, just like any other job setting up direct deposit. You just put in like your bank account number and your routing number and everything, your information, and it just goes right into your bank account. Your account on the app will empty on Sunday, so whenever I wake up on Monday morning, it will show $0 because it is the start of a new week, and then it hits in my bank account around Wednesday, sometime on Wednesday. This may vary just depending on your bank, how fast your bank processes, all that jazz, but for me, it takes about 2 to 3 days for it to actually go into my account. But honestly, I don't mind because I just know that I get paid every single Wednesday, even though it will leave my account or like leave my kind of like, I don't know, where it tracks your money, I guess, on the app. It will leave there on Sundays. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the part that I know everybody probably wants to know about, and that is how much money I make. Now, before I get into this, I want to preface that this is going to vary based on your area, how expensive things are in your area, what kind of vehicle you have, and how fast you go through gas, how much gas is in your area, like just all of that, how far grocery stores are from people's homes, like all of that. It's going to vary, but I also have no issue explaining how much I make because anyone can make this much if you just get out there and do it. So before I actually share how much I make, I want to explain how I calculate my hours because I think it's a little bit different than what people would normally do to calculate their hours. So for me, when I accept an order, I am at home in the morning. I will accept and then I will drive to whatever grocery store is there. So I count my hours from the second I leave my house, not when I arrive at the grocery store, because I'm driving to that grocery store as part of that order, if that makes sense. But for some people, they might not consider that commute to be part of what they're doing. At a normal job, you're not getting paid for your commute, obviously, but I do count that because it's the amount of time I'm out and I'm like working. From the moment I leave my house to the moment I get home, that's how I calculate my hours. So the amount that I make hourly would be more if I didn't count that in there, but I just feel like it's kind of part of it in my opinion. Also sometimes between orders, so if I drop off an order and then I deliver it and I want to go grab another batch, there might not be some batches in there for a little bit of time. I've sat in my car for up to half an hour just waiting for a batch to show up, and I also count that time as part of my hours because I'm actively on the app and waiting for something to come up. But again, some people might not consider that, so the hourly amount that I make would be a lot higher if you took out all of those little things. But for me, I do from start to finish, so just know that depending on how you also calculate your hours, this amount could be different for you. Okay, so on average, I make between $15 to $20 an hour on any given day, and that just, like I said, depends on all those different factors. I would say my most common range is between like $16 to $17 an hour, I would say is what I find on most days, but it does just depend. I also work Wednesday to Sunday as my 5 working days and take Monday, Tuesday as like my weekend. I find that Wednesday through Sunday are just the most profitable days for me, but you can choose whatever you want. You can really, like, if you work Monday, Wednesday, Friday somewhere, you can do this on Tuesday, Thursday. You don't have to do it on specific days. I just find that in my area, Wednesday through Sunday is when I make the most money, and that Mondays and Tuesdays tend to be slower. This also could vary drastically by area. You could find in your area, Mondays are like the days you want to work 12 hours because you make so much money doing it. So it just depends. The first week I worked for Instacart, I did work 7 days because I wanted to see what days I made the most, and then that was how I picked the days from there. These days that are super profitable may also change based on holidays. So when it was Memorial Day, I found that Friday, Saturday, Sunday was a lot. Like, people were just buying a lot of groceries and it was very busy because people were getting ready for celebrations on Monday. And then I found on Wednesday, that following Wednesday after Memorial Day, it was a much slower day than typical because people had just stocked up and bought a lot of things the past weekend and we're now probably going to wait a little bit later. So this will vary based on things like that. Also, if your grocery stores in the area have sales, you may find that those days are more popular. So the Shaw's in my area has their sale day on Fridays. So Fridays at Shaw's are poppin', okay? Poppin'. So that's where I'm going to make a lot of money, is at Shaw's. So I will stay in that area, I will work in that area, and I'll make a lot of money at Shaw's because they have sales, and a lot of people are going to put in their orders at Shaw's on Friday. And other stores may have similar days or similar promotions that happen on certain days, so it could vary a lot, but just know that if you want to make a lot more money, you have to find those days that are more profitable and use them to your advantage. So work a little bit longer of a day on Sunday or Friday if you can, and just take a half day on Saturday. Make it work to make the most out of what you're given, I guess, through the hours and through how people are ordering based on the store. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so now some overall pros and cons, just some quick things that I don't really know if I've talked about fully before, but I would say the biggest pros are that you can choose your own hours. If I have something to do, I can just not work or work around it or work different hours. There's a lot of opportunity to kind of shape your schedule and create the schedule that you want, and it's also decent money. And the option to cash out at any point is great. If you're like, I just need $100 for my groceries, you can hop on there, make $100 and cash out, and then just be done and just pay for your groceries and be fine. But I think it's definitely decent money for what it is, and you can make more money the more hours you work, where you work, all that kind of thing. So it is pretty flexible, and it kind of allows you to make more. I feel like I sound like an MLM right now, being like, you can make more if you just try. I would say the biggest cons is that there is an option for customers to change the tip, because that can really screw you if you mess up or anything, but it usually works more in your favor. Another con is that sometimes customers can give you a hard time for something being out of stock. I personally have not had this happen at all. I've had some customers be like, oh, bummer, like I wish they had this, but like I've never had a customer really give me a hard time, but I have heard other people have this issue, so I did just want to mention it because it could happen. I don't really think it's super common. People seem to be pretty forgiving and understand that sometimes things just aren't going to be in stock, especially in the middle of a global pandemic. So, but that is a con if it does happen to you, and it could. And then the only other con I would say is that you are racking up a lot of miles on your car. I have probably put about 1,000 miles on my car since starting to do this, which is like literally nuts, but I don't really mind. I don't really care about the miles, I guess. I'm not really mad about it, but if you do have a car that's like on its last leg and you're worried about putting miles on it, maybe it's not the best idea. When you go to accept an order, you can see how many miles away this person's home is from the grocery store. So if you're worried about putting miles in your car, you can manage it that way. But if you want to make more money, you have to take those orders that are further away, because that's where the money is really going to be. But if you are worried about it, you can make it work. You can just choose ones that are closer. But yeah, I would definitely say it's a con to have to put a lot of miles on your car. So overall, would I recommend working for Instacart? Absolutely, I would. I think it's a great opportunity. There's just so many ways that this job could work for a lot of people. It is competitive. The more shoppers that join the community and shop, the more competitive it's going to be to get orders. But that said, I think that anyone can do it. You don't have to have any kind of special talent or skills or anything to do it, other than just knowing how to work with people and knowing how to work with customers. So I definitely think it's a good opportunity for people. I think I covered all the bases in this. This video is going to be so long, but it's okay. But if you do have any other questions or comments or concerns or anything like that about working for Instacart, definitely leave it in the comments down below, and I will reply to any questions as best I can. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. This isn't typical content for me, but I hope to do just a bunch of random videos, anything that I feel like doing. So there will definitely be more similar content in the future. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye!